Tyler here with TT Productions, and today I am going to show you some basic tips and tricks to help you begin your filmmaking or videography journey. Essentially, if you see videos on social media, movies on TV, or sitcoms, television shows, and you're like, man, that looks really cool, I would love to be able to create something like that, well, you're in luck. Watch this video, and by the end, you'll be able to do that. I'm going to go through camera settings, the actual filming process, editing on a computer, and then finally exporting your final product. If you already have experience with creating videos, I would still encourage you to watch this video. I am self-taught like most video editors or content creators, filmmakers, and maybe there's just a different perspective or approach that I use that you may find effective or beneficial in your filmmaking process. So without further ado, let's get to it. The first thing we're going to do is make sure that our camera is set to 24 frames per second. This is what movies and other cinema are shot in. There's actually other settings. There's 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second. 30 is what news broadcasts and TV sitcoms are shot in. And then there's also options for 120 frames per second. You can use this to shoot at a really high frame rate, and then you slow it down in post to get that buttery smooth slow-mo effect. So for our demonstrations when we head outside, I'm going to shoot in both 24 frames per second and 120 frames per second and show you the differences in the footage in post. Go ahead and select 24 frames per second. One other thing to keep in mind, I'm shooting on the Sony a6500 mirrorless camera. What you can do is, in the setting that I have it, you can switch the aperture by spinning this wheel. The aperture, a lower aperture or wider aperture, will allow more light in, and what that will do is it will give that nice, sweet bokeh effect, or a shallow depth of field. So that's where just the subject, like my camera right here, is in focus and everything else is blurred out. So make sure you set your aperture as low as possible. For a demonstration, we're going to be going outside, so remember, if you're shooting outside, you're going to want to make sure you put a variable ND filter on the end of your lens. This is a cheap one that I got at Best Buy, but it works quite well. What this will do is, as you spin it, it acts like sunglasses, and it will allow more or less light into the lens. By doing that, we can leave our aperture wide open at f1.4 and get that sweet bokeh while not overexposing our shot. That being said, let's head on outside. One other basic filmmaking technique is you always want to make sure your shutter speed is set at double your frame rate. So if we're shooting at 24 frames per second, we want our shutter speed to be at 1/50th of a second. This will give the correct motion blur so that it doesn't look jerky or janky or something just doesn't look off. Just trust me on this. Set your shutter speed to 1/50th and your frame rate to 24p. If you're lucky enough to be shooting on a Sony Alpha camera like the Sony a6500, you can actually save two different camera settings. So what I do is, for camera setting 1, I have 24 frames per second at 1/50th of a second shutter speed. And then my second setting is for 1/250th of a second shutter speed, and I'm not sure why it's not saying it, but it should say, there it is, 120 frames per second. Now we will head outside. Whoop, that almost went into the camera. All right, now we need to get some footage to turn into an epic video. Exercise I like to do is think of just a regular activity like shooting basketball, all right? If I was a parent going to my kid's game, I'd be like, oh, let's just get some shots of him shooting a basketball. Just wide, wide angle like this. Just the fact that I almost made that and the ball bounced back to me completely blows my mind. But regardless, a better approach would be, let's see how we can string together a few short scenes or video clips to give the audience and viewer just kind of a mental picture of, oh, that guy is shooting basketball, without just seeing one continuous shot. Let's get to it. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to take 3 simple shots. 1, a close-up of my feet jumping off the ground. 2nd, a medium shot of just the top half of my body going up to take the shot. And then 3rd, a slightly wider angle of me actually shooting the ball and it going into the net. Fingers crossed. Let's do it. For my first shot, I've got my camera set down on the ground. I've got a little stick under propping the lens up, and then I've also dropped another stick out here and locked my focus onto that stick so that when I take a step and jump, I know that my shoes or feet will be in focus. So let's do it. Almost forgot. Always take multiple shots because you never know what you're going to end up with in post. Now we need to get our second shot where we're releasing the basketball. I've got my camera set up here, and again, it's all movie magic. So I really don't need to actually shoot the ball at all. All I have to do is make sure that I get myself in frame and capture me in the act of shooting the ball. I'm going to film it in 24 frames and in the 120 frames per second, just so I can make a dope video afterwards. Another very beneficial thing which I just happened to get was a monitor, so I can mount it on top of the camera, and that way I can compose my shot and see where my ball and hand, etc. are inside the frame. Sadly, I ordered 2 of them, only 1 worked when it came. That is on the camera filming right now. I don't have a second one to throw up here to get the second shot, but we're gonna try it and do the best we can. Let's hope we got something. Lastly, I need to get that wide angle shot of me finally releasing the ball and it going into the hoop. So I've got my camera set up here. Again, without the monitor, it's kind of hit or miss, but I'm feeling lucky today. Let's give it a roll. Oh, now we're gonna head inside, throw it all together. Come on. And we're back. I've got my video dumped onto my computer, and now we are going to go into Premiere Pro and start the process of creating a video. We're in Premiere Pro. In the effects screen, we're going to hit Control-I to import our media. Go to wherever you happen to have it saved. And I know mine is these clips right here. Now we have all our files in here. I like to always go sort by original file, video file name. If you recall, we are going to start with a shot of us jumping off the ground. So we're going to left click on that clip and just bring it over and release and drop it into our timeline. I always like to make sure my audio units are displayed up here. So I right click and then select show audio units. And as you can see, as we scrub through, this shows us jumping off the ground. So let's find a good little one that looks okay. What? That didn't look good. Where's a better one? You can zoom in a little bit. That allows you with the plus key, and that allows you to get, ooh, I like this right here. So right here, let's get us jumping. All right, so to begin the clip, we're gonna hit the plus button again, zoom in so we can get the right correct frame. I like to show starting with basically the movement. I don't like too much of a still frame. So we're going to start right there. I will hit the C button. That will bring up my little cutting tool, and I'll clip there to cut there in the frame. Now we're gonna have us jump up. Oh, look at that cool stuff flying in the background. Looks sweet. So let's see, it starts at 1928. We'd like to probably have it be at least, well, 1 second, but we can't because my shoe will come back in frame, so we're gonna have to stop it right there. And we clip there. Now we hit the V key, and we're going to select the footage on either side, and hit Shift Delete. That will delete the footage and bring everything down to the beginning of our timeline. The second clip we're looking to do was of us shooting the ball. Again, this I'm going to edit the 24 frames per second one first. So, let's see. I'm guessing it's this one. Again, left click, bring it over into our timeline, let go, and it drops it. So now we need to find a shot of us jumping and shooting. Video editing is a tedious process, but it is well worth it when you create that final product. This isn't great. It's a little too blurry for my liking, but I am going to come into focus. So let's start here, C cut, go up. It's us releasing the ball. I like that right there. C to trim that as well. All right, again, V to go back to our cursor. Delete, here, Shift Delete. And we're going to bring this clip, left click it, and just drag it over and drop it by that one. As long as your little, what is that thing called? A horseshoe? A magnet. As long as your magnet is selected, it will snap the clip closest to it when you get near it. Lastly, to finish out the little video, we need to get a shot of us making a basket. So left click on that clip and drag it over and bring it into Premiere Pro timeline. Wow, this is very overexposed. I may have messed this up slightly. I'm not sure why, but at any rate, but I'm out of focus. Well, we gotta use it. It's the only one I made. So we need me in the air. C. Trim it. Ball's going. Boom. Swish. And I like that. Maybe stop it. Well, the video is pretty short, so maybe we'll cut it there just so we get a little bit longer of a video. Again, V to go back to our cursor, Shift Delete on that clip, select this one, delete, and now we have, if we hit the spacebar button, a real quick video of me making a shot. Let me back up a second. One thing I forgot to mention is you're going to want to go up to your sequence. At the top, left click on sequence settings, and make sure it's set to 23.976 frames per second or 24. The clip was shot in 23.976, so it automatically imported that. Okay, next, to export our video, we're going to hit Control M, and that will bring up our export settings. You can give it an output name. Tyler shooting, wow, I wish I could spell, a basketball. Hit save. I always like to click match source. Also, you're going to want to make sure your format is an H.264 encoding. That is the best to upload it to social media and the internet. If you wanted to make a DVD, you would actually want to export it in the MPEG-2 format. But for this exercise, we're going to post it online, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I'm going to use the H.264. I always like to click match source, and then that ensures that it is at the highest quality. Then click export. Boop. And now you have a finished video. Let's check it out. A basketball. Again, anybody watching that would get the idea that I was shooting a basketball. So it's a pretty neat trick. And that is just a simple way to create a video. Okay. Now I'm going to select all these and delete, and we're going to start over and show you the exact same video, but in slow-mo. And this can be done by shooting in 120 frames per second. Again, by doing this, it's going to give it a much more impactful or emotional or epic look. So we're going to start with the shoes jumping, left click, drop onto the timeline. We want to keep our existing settings, the 24 frames per second. So again, we're going to left click here and just kind of scrub through. I'll back up a second so I can get through this footage. Where is my feet? There's a shot of my feet. Oh, I like this one better. Sorry, trim there. Boom, out of frame. And cut there. Alright, hit my V to bring my cursor back. Boom, delete that. Boom, shift delete. Boom, shift delete. Boom, shift delete. And we're back at the beginning. Now, to make this slow-mo, we're going to right click, select speed duration. And since we shot in 120 frames per second and we want to bring it down to 24 frames per second, we're going to run it at 20% speed. By doing that, you can see this clip went from, I don't know, a tenth of a second or boom, to almost 2 seconds. Much more epic. Now we need to bring in our second clip, which was of us releasing the ball. Or taking that initial shot. I like this. I'm just going to select this quick. And that looks pretty cool right there. Shift delete, shift delete, shift delete, shift delete. And right click, speed duration. Again, 20%, enter. Now we have these two clips. And finally, we need to get us making the shot. Let's start with right there. Me coming down. Zoom in again. See to cut it. Ooh, and that is dope. Me just coming. I like it right there. And we're going to cut there. Again, V, select the clip on either side, delete this one, shift delete. That brings it all the way down to the beginning of our timeline. 20% for the speed duration. And now we're going to see what this looks like in slow-mo when shot at 120 frames per second. Boom! Throw a little bit of music behind that, and you've got yourself a super epic video. Again, we're going to hit Control M to export this. This one we'll call Slow-Mo Tyler shooting a basketball. Kudos on getting that spelling right the first time. Booyah! Again, match source. We know it's set at 23.976, and here is our resolution, the 1920 by 1080. And we're going to go to export, also, yep, H.264, and rat-tat-tat-tat-do. Let's check out the final product. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is how you create a video from start to finish using a series of clips and stringing them together to tell a short story. If you have any questions, please comment below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please smash the subscribe button. Till next time, keep on keeping on.